Well, good evening, everybody. It's Cutler here in the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk to Cutler program. It's already July 15th. We're in the middle of the month already. And you all know how I do. I show up every Tuesday and Thursday live at 8 p.m. And I'm only here for 1,800 seconds. I don't want to waste your time at all. If you just happen to be perusing past my channel, stop for just a moment, at least for 1,800 seconds. Let me tell you what this channel is all about. It's about inspiration. It's about motivation. It's about challenging us to show up a little bit better tomorrow than we did today. It doesn't mean that today was a wash. It doesn't mean that today was a loss. It does not mean that today was all bad. It just means that we spend this time so that we can be encouraged, so that we can be strengthened, so we can get a few nuggets from each other to see how can I show up a little bit better tomorrow than I did today. We talk about some of everything. It's about being holistic and about being well from all facets of life. Hey, I want to ask you all this. How often do you take time to examine the light that is within? That is the question. How often do you take the time to examine the light that is within? We're going to talk about the light that shines within you. And I want to remind you this evening that the light that you have inside of you is more than enough. Stay tuned. That's going to be a great conversation. I hope, I think, I believe. Meanwhile, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe. Click on the notification bell. It lets you know when I'm here, when I've gone live, when I've uploaded new content. Also, tell somebody, just go ahead and share the chat. Tell somebody, come on. We're going to talk tonight about so many things. Tell them, come on. Let's talk to Cutler. I'll be right back.
Let's talk to Cutler. One more thing, like, subscribe and share. Come on, let's talk to Cutler.
All right, I'm back here. Let's talk to Cutler for 1,800 seconds. And I see that some of you are joining me. Come on over to the chat room so I can see you, so that you can chat with me. I can chat with all of you, but specifically see who's joining me in the chat. Let me tell you what I did. I sent out a notice just before this broadcast, and I told people, grab your snacks, get your beverages, and come on in, because we're going to chat about the light that's within you and how it's more than enough. I brought my tea. Did you all bring your snacks? Did you bring anything? You all know how we do. And if you bring enough, make sure that you bring enough for everybody. All right. Listen, you all, again, this channel, if you're just passing by and you wonder what we're talking about, this is about motivation. It's about inspiration. Don't we have enough negativity on social media as it is? We have enough negativity. We have enough stuff that make you downtrodden and downcast and just down, period. I decided I wanted to offer something that inspires us, something that lifts us up, something that encourages, something that propels us to become our best self, our strongest self, to show up better tomorrow than we did today. All right. And so that's what I hope to do for 1,800 seconds, that you are with me, offer you some nuggets. And I'll tell you where we get those nuggets. We've been reading this book right here, Billboards to Better. 366 daily sources of motivation and inspiration along the highway of life. Cutler, what does that mean? This is my 7th book, you all. It's available over on Amazon.com. You can get it by going through my website, www.gcutler.com. I feel like I'm rushing through a commercial, so I don't have to pause for station identification. But let me just say this, you all. This book contains a quote for every day of the year. It also offers some additional quotes as well. My goal is to give us something that we can hold on to, something that we can hang on to, something that we can hang our hopes on. Because with all of the negativity out there, I hope to give us something that's positive, something that helps us to affirm who we are and who we are becoming each day. All right. And what we do on Tuesdays, we'll read the quote. We'll discuss the quotes for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. On Thursdays, we discuss the quotes for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. There's a quote for Saturday. I leave that up to you. Take the quote, let it start a conversation, let it become part of your meditation. It's all up to you. Thank you so much for sharing, those of you who do. Thank you so much for sharing this channel. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. All of you, when we spend this 1800 seconds, we're riding, we're fellow passengers, and we're all along the highway. So thank you all. Whatever space you've allowed me to come into, whatever space you've allowed me to share, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate it more than you will ever know. All right, do me a favor if you haven't done so. Make sure that you share. I want to just shout out our LTTC VIPs for the evening. Those tend to be the people who just jump right into the chat, really feet forward and feet first, but they just jump here into the chat. So I want to say thank you for that. Annie Cutler, she says, let's ride. Wendy Delval, she says, good evening. Raydella Lewis, she says, hi all. So for all of you, thank you so much. Do me a favor, you all. I have a number in mind. I want to see if we can flood the shares and get up to a certain number this evening. I'll let you know if I see that number pop up on my screen, all right? But until then, we're going to do what we do. We're not going to waste each other's time because I've got to make every second significant, every moment meaningful, and every minute matter. You all know. The quote for July 14th says this: there is no need to look for a huge spotlight when a small matchlight is all you need. I think that this evening's conversation is going to come from a very personal space. So you all get ready. I see, Linda, I see that you brought your water, but you all make sure that you get all sorts of snacks and bring those with you. But again, I think this evening's conversation is going to come from a very, I'll admit, maybe a very vulnerable place for me, but certainly very transparent, very honest and forthcoming space. There is no need to look for a huge spotlight when a small matchlight is all that you need. And in particular, I want to share that with you all because it says that there is a light within you. And no matter how small it may be, it still has the power to pierce the darkness. That one small light in you is enough to set the world on fire. That one small light inside of you is enough to set the world on fire. There's a song that says it only takes a spark to get a fire going, and soon all those around can warm up to its glowing. It doesn't take a whole lot. It does not take a whole lot. I can tell you all that it doesn't take a whole lot. This quote, if it does nothing else, it just reminds me that you should not let people devalue you. You don't let people devalue you at all, you all. Because so many times, how many times do we compare ourselves with other people? We compare ourselves with other people and we get lost in who we are. So this quote reminds me to appreciate the light within, no matter how small it may be, no matter how insignificant it may seem to others. I've discovered that sometimes we are so busy trying to become torches and we're trying to become campfires and bonfires until we sometimes forget to appreciate just being a matchlight. We forget that the campfire and the bonfire and the torch, they're all a result of a simple spark. They're just the result of a simple spark, you all. Years ago, I had a pleasant opportunity to visit a restaurant in Montreal, Canada, and it was sponsored by the Society for the Blind. The food was absolutely delicious. The service was phenomenal, and the dinner was served completely in the dark. Yes, completely in the dark. And not only was the dinner served in the dark, but the customers and the guests, we all ate dinner in the dark. So it was served in the dark and we ate in the dark. I mean, there was not a speck of light anywhere in the main dining facility. It looked just like, close your eyes for 3 seconds. It looked just like that. When you opened your eyes, it was just as dark as it was with your eyes closed. That's exactly what it looked like. There were no cell phones allowed, so you couldn't see any kind of light at all. And if you had to get up and go to the restroom, some people probably wonder, well, how do you get to the restroom? But if you had to go to the restroom, you had to call for your server, and he or she would escort you to a room, to the room that was dimly lit. And I've tried to host a couple of dinners, themed dinners like that at my house, and I replicated the concept. And I will tell you all this. It literally took me 2 days to recreate that theme, to recreate that look, to make sure that there was no light. So it was challenging for me because every room in my house has windows. So trying to make sure there was no light was difficult. And then even for the times when I could cover the outside light, there were mechanical gadgets, the TV, the remote control, the cell phone, all of those, the just light showing up. So it was difficult. There were times when I would literally sit in what I thought was a dark room. I thought it was completely dark, only to discover that a speck of light could shine through. And what I saw and realized, you all, was that even in the darkest room, even in the darkest space, one speck of light would illuminate your way, to what was light on the other side, to what was light beyond the darkness. I think I'm going somewhere, you all. What am I saying? I'm encouraging us. I'm trying to encourage us to appreciate the light that is within. No matter how small you think it might be, appreciate the light that is within you. I'm encouraging us to stop trying to compare our light with somebody else's light. I'm trying to remind us that no matter how small your light is, no matter how small it may seem, no matter how insignificant it might seem to be, it's going to shine, you all, even in the midst of darkness. No matter how small you think your light is, it's going to shine in the midst of darkness. So I'm trying to remind you not to despise what some call, or what scripture calls, small beginnings. Because the Creator, by giving you that light, He's rejoicing whenever He sees that you're using the light that you have. I'm trying to remind you that we're all called to be lights. We're all called to be lights. And there is no specification as to whether we have to be a street light, a lamp light, a headlight, or a flashlight. I'm trying to remind you that there is greatness inside of you. And you may not see the end result. All you have to do is believe. All you have to do is believe at the beginning that there's great possibility inside of you. Because there is no need to look for a huge light. Sometimes we look for the end all, be all. We look for the end result. Just want to remind you, greatness is within you all. You don't have to see the end result. All you have to do is believe at the beginning that there's possibility inside of you. Think about it, you all. Companies like McDonald's and Chick-fil-A and KFC and Krispy Kreme, those are some of my favorites. They didn't start out looking like they look today. They just did not. Social movements, political movements, and even civic movements like Black Lives Matter, Me Too, and the civil rights, whether you agree with them or not, those movements were not born in the minds of hundreds of people. They were birthed in the minds of just a few, you all. Just a few who had the tenacity and the zeal and the charisma and the steadfastness and the vitality to believe that what they were dreaming of would make a difference in somebody's lives. So I really want to break the chains of self-loathing and the chains of self-hatred, the things that we do to ourselves so much. I really tonight want to break the chains of self-loathing, self-hatred, self-sabotage, self-deprivation, all of those things. I want to break all of that because your dreams don't look like me and your dreams don't look like mine or somebody else's. So what? Forget all of that. They don't have to be. And I get it that there are sometimes dream killers out there, you all, but sometimes we can be the biggest killers of our own dreams. Sometimes we commit financial and emotional and psychological suicide. And then we try to live in such a way that others won't recognize that we are walking around with self-inflicted wounds. But sometimes the hurt that we created ourselves. The hurt that we suffer, we created ourselves. I want us all to do better than that. Why am I saying that? Because it comes from a place of transparency. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Got the t-shirt. So what I want us to do after this conversation is just to affirm that what you have inside of you, is an eternal flame. that's worth burning. That's the one affirmation that I want us to make and walk away from this conversation with, is that we have an eternal flame on the inside that's worth burning, that's worth shining. It's worth letting the world see. Got something inside of you that will not only illuminate your path to your own destiny, but you've got enough light inside of you not to just take you to your destiny, but to point somebody else along a path that's called purpose. Big things happen when you believe in yourself, you all. They happen when you believe in your light. They happen when you believe in your value and you make no apologies for it. Big things happen. Don't you find it amazing that sometimes we can believe in everybody else's life, we can believe in everybody else's light, we can believe in everybody else's dream, we can believe in everybody else's value, we can believe in everybody else's hope except ours? Not after this conversation. Not after this conversation. I want your self-affirmation to be, I believe in me. I want your self-affirmation to be that I believe in me. Because it's not always about quantity, you all, but sometimes it's just about quality. If you choose to believe like I do, then you understand what I'm saying. It's not about quantity so much. It's only about quality. You understand that it only took 12 committed followers. It only took 12 committed followers to establish a religion that has endured the test of time. Story is told of two of those followers who went to this place called Thessalonica. And the reputation that they had was that, wow, these two called Paul and Silas, they were not among the 12. Silas was not among the 12. I got it. But these two guys called Paul and Silas. Paul wasn't among the 12 either. But Paul and Silas, those two of them, they went to this place called Thessalonica. And you know what they said about them? These two have turned the world upside down. I shared this with you. I shared this with you that a couple of days ago, I had a chance to speak to some young folk on a national platform. And I asked them if they would just make me a couple of promises. So I'm going to ask you all to do something that's similar to those young people. Just make me a couple of promises. And I'm not trying to be funny about this, but I really, I'm trying to help save somebody's life, I hope. Would you promise me that no matter how young or how old you may be, promise me this one thing: you will always strive to recognize that there's a light within you. That's just the first promise, you all. Just promise me that you will always strive to recognize that there's a light within you. Because when you believe there's a light inside of you, you start looking for it. When you believe there's a light inside of you, you allow it to illuminate the darkness that you sometimes think that you're sitting, walking, and living in. And then the second thing that I want you all to promise me, if you would do me this favor, promise me that as you recognize that light that is within you, that you will seek to be a spark to somebody else whose light may be going dim. I thank God every single day. Every single day, I thank God for the people in my life who wouldn't let my light go out. Even when I tried every strategy, every tactical maneuver to smolder my own light because I thought it was too insignificant to make a difference in anybody's life, including my own. Would you all do me a favor and make those two promises? That you'll strive every day to recognize that you have a light that's within you, and that you'll seek to at least be a spark for somebody else's. When their light seems to be going dim, you'll be a spark for them. I may have to get a sip. Hold on. Then I tell you all this is going to be a very vulnerable. I told you all it would be very vulnerable. It would be very transparent. I thank God every single day for the people who would not let my light go out when I didn't believe in myself. All right. We're reading from this book right here, Billboards to Better, 366 daily sources of motivation and inspiration along the highway of life. I'm just trying to offer us all something so that we can show up a little bit better tomorrow than we did today. So this one, there's no need. You listen, you don't have to look for a huge light. Just understand that is the subject of our conversation this evening. You don't have to look for a huge light when a small match light is all that you need. That's all that you need. I am so loving your responses, letting your light shine and living like this every single day. I certainly appreciate this and I'm strengthened by your remarks. I'm strengthened by your comments. I am encouraged. Thank you all so much for that. I'm going to go into the quote for July 15th. All right. I see you all saying, yes, 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 I promise. And you all are singing This Little Light of Mine, all of that. Thank you all so much for spending these 1800 seconds with me. So I'm not going to waste your time, but I will remind you, someone wanted to know where my books are available. They're available on Amazon.com. They're available on Amazon.com. I think 6 of the 7 are available there. And so just go over to Amazon.com and get them. Or if you just want to read a little bit more about me and see what have I been doing and what I'm about, if you like, you can go to my website, www.gbcutler. Let me see. www.gbcutler.com. There it is. You can go there. There's a link that will take you to Amazon, or you can just go directly to Amazon and look up the books. But it's all there. I don't think this is. Let's see. It may be first time. If it is first time, I want to make sure that I say a good hello and to Shonda Charwell Walters. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate that. I don't think this is your first time. I think I've seen you before. All right. So thank you for being here. And to the rest of you, thank you all so much for joining. I'm going to go to the quote for July 15th. Listen, y'all, listen to this quote for July 15th. It says this: don't worry about not being able to get to God because God knows how to get to you. Don't worry about not being able to get to God because God knows how to get to you. That quote reminds me of some nonsensical argument that I hear people make sometimes, and I'll tell you about it. It also reminds me of something from my childhood. I'll tell you about that. So let me see if I can pull myself together and tell you this. Sometimes people argue about the silliest things, you all. The silliest things. I've heard people say things like, oh, I'm so glad that I found God. Then I've heard other people say, I'm so glad that God found me. And just those 2 sentences alone have caused theologians to just argue about some of everything. Things like, well, do we find God or does God find us? Y'all, I'm going to tell you this. When it comes to things like that, I have 2 words for that kind of argument. Nothing of great profundity, nothing that's birthed out of intellectual prowess, nothing born out of what I would call an erudite discussion, nothing deep. 2 words I have. Who cares? Y'all, sometimes people just try to engage you in conversations that are going nowhere. And when they do, just say to them, who cares? You don't have to search for any fancy words. You don't have to use any words that are not in everyday vernacular. You don't have to send them to the dictionary. You don't have to send them to the thesaurus. Just say to them, who cares? Who cares about the nonsensical stuff that's going nowhere? Whether I found my way to him or whether he made his way to me, it doesn't matter. Either way, I was lost, but now I'm found. I was in darkness, but now I'm in light. I was once in despair, but now I'm in hope. I was once in chaos, but now I'm in peace. And it does not matter whether I found my way to him or he created a space to me. Don't you waste your time fussing with people about how you got to where you are. It doesn't matter. You don't owe them an explanation, because the truth of the matter is this: wherever you were, think about it, you all, wherever you were, if you ever gave out of gas, or you gave out of strength, or you gave out of joy, or you gave out of hope, you gave out of peace, you gave out of dreams, you gave out of ambitions. It does not matter. Wherever you were, the truth of the matter is that there was one who loved you enough to meet you at the point of your need. And however it happened, your battery was recharged. However it happened, your joy was restored. However it happened, your strength was renewed. Doesn't matter. Don't get into semantics with people arguing about how you got to where you got. It doesn't matter. I was at the airport in Atlanta a few days ago, and I was walking through security. I'd gone through security checkpoint, y'all, and it reminded me, I'm going to pull it all together. It reminded me of when I had visited the county fair as a little boy. I was going through security, this maze, this labyrinth, I call it, and it reminded me of a glass house at the county fair. And if you've been through the airport in Atlanta recently, you understand that there's security checkpoints. It goes down, turns around, comes back, but there are these plexiglass sort of things. So it reminded me of this glass house that I had gone into when I was at the county fair growing up. I was probably not older than 7 or 8. And I attempted, you all, to go into the glass house. And when I went into this glass house, I'm sure I got no further than about maybe, I don't even know how far I'd gotten into the glass house. Maybe 15 seconds, 10 or 15 seconds into the glass house. And I'm telling you all this, I started bumping into glass walls. I couldn't figure out where I was going. I remember 7 or 8, and I'm telling you all what was happening. I panicked. I was terrified. I started bumping around, panicking, and yelling to the top of my voice for my mama. And I don't know if my mother remembers this, but you all, I was not that far inside the glass house. Not so far that she couldn't hear me. Y'all know I'm going somewhere with this, don't you? When I start bringing my mama to the story, y'all know I wasn't so far that she couldn't hear me. And even though I did not realize it, I didn't realize that she was not that far away. All I knew was that I was lost. And I heard my mother saying, "Here is my hand. Turn around, here's my hand." And that reminds me so much of God's love. It reminds me so much of God's love, because here is the moment of inspiration. If you are in a situation that has you panicking and afraid, do me a favor, you all. Breathe. Breathe. Open your eyes, turn around, and experience the love of God that comes to rescue you from wherever you are. And you don't have to argue with anybody about whether you found the love or the love found you. That's why this quote says, don't worry about not being able to get to God, because God knows how to get to you. I didn't know how to get to my mother when I was in that glass house and screaming and panicking, but my mother knew how to get to me. And it does not matter what happened before, during, or after. All I know was that somehow, some way, whereas I was lost, I then was found. Whereas I was panicking, I was then put at ease. And so that's what I offer you all tonight as a moment of inspiration when it comes to this quote. Don't argue with people how you get to where you're going or how you got to where you already are. Just understand that it was the miraculous love of one who cared enough for you to rescue you from where you were to where you are. Don't argue with people. Just tell them those 2 words: who cares? Who cares? All right. And I don't frequently say things like that. And, sometimes my vocabulary just simply escapes me. But say to them, listen, who cares? Right. Y'all remember, right? The glass house, the fun house, all that kind of stuff. Yes, you all remember. You all remember. Oh, my Lord. When I tell you that fun house, that glass house, that house of mirrors, whatever it was, it terrified me. Listen, thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm only here for 1,800 seconds. Just got a few more seconds with you all, but we're reading from this book right here, my 7th book, Billboards to Better, 366 daily sources of motivation and inspiration along the highway of life. If you haven't shared this channel so far, please go ahead and share it. I think I'm seeing people who are joining for the first time. You all make sure that you say hi to Angela Jones. I think that's my baby cousin. Yes, joining. So you all make sure that you say hi to Angela Jones. And thank you all. This may be your first time joining. So listen, you all, thank you so much. I'm going to go to the quote for July 16th. Got to make sure that I don't waste your time. Listen to this quote, you all, for July 16th. It says, the difference between ignorance and a lie. The difference between ignorance and a lie is that ignorance is curable and can be forgiven pretty quickly. Ooh, maybe not so with a lie, right? So listen, it's better to seem ignorant than be proven as a liar. Don't feel as though you must have an answer just because someone asks you a question. It's okay to say, I don't know. It's okay to say, I don't know. Listen, y'all, let me just give you the backstory for this. And I'm not going to waste your time, but I need to give you the backstory to this quote because it reminds me. This is a reminder to let us know that we don't have to know everything. It's okay not to have an answer. It's okay not to have a solution to every problem. None of us has the answer to everything. None of us knows everything. It's also an admonition that when you don't have an answer to the solution, don't lie about it. Sometimes people feel embarrassed. Yes, I had to do my critical thinking. Sometimes people feel embarrassed by their ignorance and they will lie. How do I know? Didn't I tell you this is a night of vulnerability and just being transparent for me? How do I know? Because I've been pushed in the corner by my own ignorance. Felt like I should have known something when I didn't know it. There were things that I did not know, but other people expected me to have an answer. And I must admit, sometimes I gave in and I fabricated a response. So it's not the same ignorance, fabricated a response. Y'all know this is a fancy way for me trying to just say I lied. I did because I didn't know and I felt like I should have had an answer. And there was something, though, I'm telling you, as I've gotten older, but there's something about being considered a liar that does not resonate well with me. So let me tell you, these days, I don't make up lies. I just don't. Because when I grew up, people would say things like, you know, if you tell a lie, if you lie, you'll steal. If you steal, you'll kill. I'm telling you, and I didn't want any of that said about me. There's nothing wrong with having limited knowledge. None of us sees all or knows all. I'm just completely satisfied with the fact that I have a relationship with the one who knows all. I got to tell you all this, and I got to go. I was talking the other day with a couple of friends, and we were quizzing each other about old school gospel music. One person made up some lyrics on the spot and asked the rest of us, do y'all remember that song? And as decent as my memory is, I had to confess, I didn't remember the song. I said, no, I don't remember that. Well, one person said, yeah, I remember that song. Well, y'all, when the person said, I just made that up, you can imagine the laughing that we did. And I just looked at her and said, so you gonna lie about knowing the gospel song? You just gonna lie about knowing the gospel song? Well, I share that sort of tongue in cheek, y'all, but the lesson we get is a very powerful one. You don't have to lie. It's okay not to know. It's okay to say, I don't know. It's okay to say, I don't know. Remember I told you when I was growing up, people would say, if you lie, you'll steal. If you steal, you'll kill. I don't ever want to be considered a liar, a thief, or a murderer. And as a practical matter, I think I have a better chance of being forgiven for being ignorant than I do for being a liar. All right. Thank you all so much for spending these 1,800 seconds with me. I was going to read a couple poems, but I'm all out of time and I don't want to waste you all. I don't want to waste your time. All right. So thank you so much for joining for these 1,800 seconds. I want to appreciate you all for joining me. Listen, so many of you all are joining, are just joining in. I think I see my nephew joining for the first time. Y'all please say hi to, his name just looks like my last name, James Cutler. So please say hi to my nephew. If it's okay with you all, I'm going to read just one poem and then I got to get out of here. All right. Because I think I've held you off for an extra 300 seconds. So let me read you all this one poem and then I got to get out of here because I'm talking about the light that's within us and appreciating the light. All right. Mi amigo Molly Miera is just getting here. She says, oh, hold on, don't leave. So I tell you what, Molly, just because you got here, and Wendy says, don't leave. All right, you all, I'll at least hang around and I'll read these two poems. Is that all right? I'll read these two poems. And then we're going to go because I want to remind you all, I started by saying the light within you is more than enough and not to try to compare your light with anybody else's and don't let anybody diminish your light for trying. Don't you all let people do that. Don't let people diminish your light because it only takes a spark to create a whole forest fire. It only takes a spark to create a bonfire or campfire. I'm telling you all. So let me read this. I wrote this poem rather, and it's called All in Me from my very first book. I wrote this poem. It's called All in Me. We walk in the shadow of another, hiding ourselves from the sun's rays, not recognizing that we too are keepers of the fire. Whether it be a creeping flame or a roaring blaze, a small match or an Olympic torch, still by it, darkness is made light. We speak with the voice of our heroes, forgetting that we have our own stories to tell, disregarding the sounds of our own experiences, whether it be a silent moan or a bellowing whisper, a passionate purr or an excited exclamation, still by it, silence is broken. We hope in the greatness of our mentors, failing to see that the essence of greatness, it's all in me. That's what our conversation is about tonight. The torch, the light that you have inside of you is more than enough. I want to read one more poem, then we've got to go, y'all. I've got to go. This poem, let me make sure I get to it, because you all know I'll start reading and then I end up with the wrong one. But so many times we look at other people and we don't know their stories. We look at their light and we don't know what they did to get their wattage, their luminosity, or their ebullience, their ability to shine. We don't know what their life has looked like for them to be able to shine like they do. So this one says, be careful about wanting what others have, but be human enough to be able to identify with them. So it says, live in you. Oh, to sip a day of your water, a mere note of your song to sing, to breathe only an ounce of your air. Let me, I pray, live you, but for a day. To dance in the paths that you despise, to find no fault in that which you criticize, to even see darkness through your eyes. Give me, I beg, the leftovers of your wasted time. Time is what was taken. Life is what I lack. I love, I long for. Peace is what I pray for. You all, thank you so much for spending these 1,800 seconds with me. I appreciate it much more than you'll ever know. If you haven't done so, please make sure that you do a thumbs up on the conversation. It encourages me. It says to YouTube, hey, I kind of like what that guy's talking about. I'm here every Thursday, 8 o'clock live, sharing moments of inspiration. I hope you all will continue to join me. I hope you'll tell people about it. I hope you'll share this space with me and that you'll show up with me next Tuesday. Thank you all so much for tuning in. My friend Cheryl, thank you. All of you all so much. Listen, I go off every Tuesday, every Thursday by saying this. Let's continue building community. Let's continue maintaining connectivity. Keep your heads up, but more importantly, keep your hope up. Your hope says, I have expectations. Expectations of whom? Expectations of my God and myself, of my community and my village. And then remember this, you all, there's a pandemic out there, so you all stay safe. Don't let anybody cause you to lose your mind. Stay sane. Keep the light shining. Don't forget to spark and share your light with somebody's just in case theirs is going dim. Because Wendy, you just said it, we need each other. Thank you so much. I'll see you all Tuesday. Have a great weekend. All right. And please know that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. Good night, everybody.